Hello, everybody. How is everybody doing tonight? Thank you for tuning in. What else? What else do I need to say at the beginning? Hey, this is Andrew Meredith, who is that way. Wait, I
This
can't
way,
point
this way.
that way. That
Yeah.
way. That
This
way.
way.
That dude. He is the author of Deathless Beast, Thrice, Bone Shroud, a bunch of other things that he has read. You can see them behind him to his upper right. He probably has a box of books sitting underneath his feet or something, because I heard that's something that authors have.
Yes.
So that's what happens.
You have a
You
little
get
closet in the garage. Yeah.
that's terrifying and awesome at the same time.
Yes. That's how you know you're a real author, when you get to open up a door and just see a stack of your books.
Instead of board games. Well, I guess it's with board games.
I have those too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Too many closets.
Yes.
Some of them have bones in them.
Yes.
Down below we have Anitha from Anitha Gade Reads now, as she is in the middle of rebranding because she is sacrificing her soul to the almighty algorithm.
I'm still Anitha Gade. My channel name is same, but the YouTube extension number is I removed that and added reads. That's all.
That's cool. I hadn't heard that. That's great news.
Yeah, I just realized it today when I was linking her channel down below. By the way, both of these people have channels that are linked down below.
Thank you.
And I just realized and am killing myself mentally because I've been mentally pronouncing your name wrong, Anitha, and I apologize.
It's all right.
Look, I have too high standards for myself, all right? Live with them. Well, I do. So how are you guys doing tonight?
I am doing great. It's Friday.
It's true.
A little tired. Evening is getting better. So
Yeah.
Aw. Hey, everybody else out there. We have multiple Merediths in the chat. We have Patricia and Renee.
Hi. Hi, Mom.
hi, Mama Meredith.
Yes.
Hey, Mom, look what I can do. Look what I can do.
No hands. Hey, Quinn, what's going on?
Hey.
We got Andrew. What's the channel? What's the booktube? I don't know. Go ask YouTube. We got Tori. Thank you. I appreciate it. And Chadia. Everybody's talking in all caps.
Chadia. Tori.
I mean, well, just read something different, Andrew, and don't comment on what book you are reading so you don't make people mad that aren't Andrew. So the way I figured we do this chat is we start off with kind of like an interview style thing where we talk to, hey, speaking of mothers,
Hey,
there's my mother.
I forgot to tell her you got home safe.
Basically, that was like a few days ago after said mead adventure, not with a lot of mead though. That sounds weird out of context. But we're gonna do like some sort of interview-ish style, talk to Andrew about his books, and then after that we are going to go into spoilers for the two books. We're going to start with doing maybe just Deathless Beast spoilers, and then do Bone Shroud, and then hopefully we can pull something out of him about the next book. Oh, that's right. Don't Andrew, don't. It's true. Yes. So, Andrew, what I do like, thank other Andrew. Yes. Meat is great. For those of you that don't know what the context of the mead is, which is pretty much everybody, I went to a social gathering recently and tried mead for the first time, and I thought it was very good.
Yes. It is quite easy to make too.
Really?
Just a little more costly because honey costs money, but you can make it in your closet.
Okay, wizard. So you just like toss honey in a jar and then just let it ferment?
Well, you should buy some yeast so it will go faster. Less likely to get a infection of bacteria. So bacteria doesn't mean nasty, it means sour. Like yogurt. But
yes,
you could do that too. You could do a sour mead by design if you throw some active yogurt into it.
Everybody makes mead, evidently.
Wow.
I'm sorry that I'm not like super super adventurous for you, wizard. I don't like go out and try every alcohol in existence, even though college was a time.
Wizard Pete is telling that only because Mama Pete is there in comments.
Literally, my mother was there at the tasting with me, so I mean, it wasn't there were other things going on at said social event, but so it's not like I'm trying to downplay it. Tori, you owe us all mead now. So, Kallattian Saga.
Yes.
What I will say, like, after the first book, I was like, this is pretty good, but after the second book, really, I think nailed everything in there for me. So I'm definitely like fully on board for all 16 some books or whatever, however many books you're reading or writing, writing, whatever that thing is. How many books are you writing in this series and then the world, Andrew?
So the Kallattian Saga will just be 8 books, 2 sets of 4. There's like a year gap between book 4 and 5. And there will be a second large series about that size. So there will be 16 in the 2 primary timelines. I will be writing other things. Like, but after book 4, which I'm currently writing, I'll take a break. Before I write 5, I'm going to write a trilogy called the Protector Wars. And that will be three books, and possibly ad infinitum, lots of novellas of like things that don't take place in the main war. So it'd be like telling a story of World War II, but only focusing on Belgium and saying all of my story takes place in Belgium. And when I mention this Cavili Legionnaire group that fought down in southern France, can we go talk about them? Okay, let's do a Dirty Dozen novella about this group that's mentioned.
Nice.
So I can do all these. And that's because I'm also a game designer, and I am 100% planning on doing a war game. And I want to be able to say, here's a novella, and here's the unit, and you can play them in the war game. So
that's awesome.
And I can do whatever I want with that. So that's the plan. And I will take other breaks where I'll write other trilogies about past events and other people, but it'll be 16 for the primary story.
So,
but 8 will be done. So singular. Yeah.
So first 8 will follow the same characters, and the next 8 will be different characters, but in the same world.
Correct. There's about a 25-year gap between the first series of 8 and the second series of 8.
Okay, what about do we get any novellas for mythology, or what happened with the pantheon of gods, that whatever we have seen in Bone Shroud?
So this will be, I can say this as a massive spoiler. The first 8 is a book of mortals, and the second 8 is actually a storyline that follows the pantheon and their trials that they're going to face. Not that there won't be mortals in the second series, but there will be probably POVs from immortals in the second series.
Interesting. So is the second series is going to be like a prequel series, or is it going to be
no? It'll sequels? Be a sequel series. Yes.
Okay. That's.
It sounds like an escalation, but it's not. It's just a furthering of the story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's going to be really interesting.
Yeah.
A novella about a specific weed. I'm not going to. I have.
He wants to know if I'm going to write a novella just about the
weed.
The one at the beginning of book 1. Now I'm going to draw blanks. Right. This was like a thing for Andrew when I first started writing it. Was go ahead, ask another question, and I'll look at it.
They were asking about if you're writing a novella about bread.
Oh, I would totally write a novella about bread.
It's yes, you made a funny. Good job. You can congrats. Oh, Grief Dark.
Thank you. Yes. So Andrew was one of my first big readers, and he started reading it, and he said, "Do you want reactions as I read it?" And I said, "Yeah, that'd be great." And he Grief Dark. What is Grief Dark? I'm so sick of the word Grief Dark. It's been 1 page, and then he loved the book. But apparently I said grief dark too many times in one page for him.
But it's a
So
fantasy
now every
term.
once in a while I bring it up as a use for like a balm for like wounds, and it's a numbing agent. And so I'll bring it up, and I guarantee you someday I'm going to put an apothecary in the book named Andrew who deals in grief dark.
Only grief dark.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the one thing that he loves in life, and he's like, I have this type of grief dark. He's gonna hope grief dark. He's gonna have grief dark.
Or do you remember that old man from Avatar, that animation show who sells cabbages? He
Yes.
appears in every episode, and
My cabbages.
My
Andrew
grief
will
dark.
appear.
I can make that happen.
Yeah.
That'd be funny.
That's what I need for my shirt, Andrew. Just my grief dark. Or grief dark. It'll numb you.
That's awesome. What where did like the source of the Kallattians, to ask this very typical question, where did like the source of the Kallattian saga come from?
It goes all the way back to my childhood, 1993, just to date me, is I started writing this Kallattian saga. So my whole family still refers to it as the Kallattian Quest, because that's what I talked about obsessively from junior high all the way through college, was the Kallattian Quest. And it was called the Kallattian Quest because originally the Kavili, who at that point were elves, their capital was Kallatti, and the first book ends with them going to Kallatti for a giant Council of Elrond where they have to go traverse the entire world, blah 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 blah. And so but it's stuck as it's called the Kallattian Quest because it's stuck, and then it just grew from there. And then in the latest edition, I no longer needed that city, which was called Kallatti. So I said, how about the whole world's just called Kallatti so I can keep my name, because it has to be called the Kallattian something. Yeah. And so the title and the spelling of it goes all the way back, 30 years now. So
yeah. Why did you put 2 L's and 2 T's in it?
Because it's prettier.
Look, I kept expecting it to be 1 L and 2 T's. I don't know why.
It's only because it's pretty.
2 L's and 1 T. I don't know.
Because I like the double L and double T as it's almost palindromian in its balance. It's not palindrome at all, but it has a balance as a word. But you know what I mean? Like the 2 L's and the 2 T's right in the middle balance each other out. And if I just did 1 L or just 1 T, it looks so wrong to me. And so, yeah.
I understand that.
And yes, my wife just said umlauts because it's fun. Why are there umlauts in my book? Because is it fantasy if it doesn't have umlauts?
True. Very true. Fantasy words are hard. Look, yes. I have my questions. All right, chill. All right, I need to know the reasons. That's why I ask.
The reason is because it's always been called that.
Nice. Okay.
And I admit that it's an issue for pronunciation.
So, Helgren.
Yeah, he read it way back when. That was not 2017.
Helgrens are the birds, right? And then
So Helgrens are Ninja Turtles. So they're turtles. And the Kavili are giraffe Gungan amphibians with tails.
Okay. And then the one trader that we've met is Kavili.
The trader, the spice trader is a Kavili.
Yeah, not traitor, trader.
Yeah, trader. Yes, trader. He is Kavili. Yeah, Imbris Feronia.
That dude. Yes. That's not a spoiler. It's just a name. Don't freak out, people.
Yeah, so back in 2017, there was a whole nother point of view from a Helgren prince who is a Templar, and I was convinced very rightly to pull him out. But I still held on to him, and I will be releasing a novella short story, or it's more of a novelette of Dratch as Templar, probably I think in October. And then I have another story of the same precinct, because Templars are Helgren cops. In the same precinct, another character in Dominish's Advent anthology. Which you may not have heard about, but you will.
Nope.
Yeah, it's coming out at Christmas.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
Okay, so you have let's see, you have okay, Anitha. So you have about 3 different things coming out for the Kallattian saga soon. Then you have the novella, the short story, and then book 3,
And another novella.
and so you have 2 novellas.
Yes.
Fun times.
Yes. So the novella will be coming out by the end of this month. Not the Hrogran one, but one that actually takes place at the end of the Protectorate Wars. Basically, it's been announced that the Protectorate Wars are over, and how does Perry and Tor react at home during that? And it's a bit of a very cozy very cozy mystery. And I'll have that coming out by the end of the month so that I can enter it into Baby Bow. Which is the baby SBFBO novella competition.
Nice. Is this the first year for that?
It is. It's called, if you look up hashtag Baby Bow is the easiest way to find it, but it's also called Sphinx, not spelled like Sphinx, but their symbol is a Sphinx because it's SPFSC or something, I think. I forget. But yeah, and that starts in September, I think. Yeah. But your book has to be released by August 30th. So my wife is editing it, and it'll be free. It'll be perma free, and once I record the audiobook, it'll be a perma free audiobook as well.
Thank you, Quinn. I appreciate this.
There it is. See, Sphinx.
I understand.
And the novella is about Protectorate Wars, right?
Yes, it is about Nethandel Until, who is Maida Muir's older brother.
Ah, yeah. Okay.
Yes. So you will see Maida, but she is not a POV.
Okay.
And there is a second EOB, a second POV in that novella is Gallahan Pier as a 17-year-old boy.
That name I recognize.
Yes.
We can talk more during spoilers of Bone Shroud, Pete.
Okay. Cool. I remember.
But you do meet Maida Muir in book 1. She's the matriarch superioris. The almost 100-year-old. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Fantastic. All the Easter eggs.
Yes.
Nice. Anitha, questions, comments, concerns?
I have so much to say. I'm keeping my energy for spoilers, to fight with Andrew. I mean, he was very patient with me, because all while reading, Bone Shroud, I was like, okay, why did you do this? What is happening? Why did you do that? Every single day, messaged Andrew. He was very patient with me, so he knows what to expect.
Yep, I do.
All the craziness. Okay. Cool.
Personally, I mean, maybe because of having no expectations, for me, Deathless Beast was a perfect book. How you introduced to the world characters, pacing wise, story, the order of these churches, both, order of the Grison and the order of Chrysalis. That's how we pronounce, right? So for me, it was perfect book. Bone Shroud, you know, was good actually, but I do have little small concerns about the plot and how that conspirators were revealed and a couple of characters. We'll talk about that in spoiler section.
Of course.
What I think.
Yeah. I think overall, I think I like Bone Shroud better because I think that was when I started kind of getting a handle on the world. Like, I don't really read glossaries that much. I think I probably would have had a better, handle on things if I had read the glossary from the first one. But I think that you did a lot better job of kind of like explaining some of the stuff in the glossary, actually like within the text in Bone Shroud.
Right. Yeah.
For some of that, like for the paladins, you did great. So I had a handle on the paladins, but I think there was like the interfaith stuff, and then like what the heck was going on with the Chrysalis, or Chrysalis, or them that I was
Chrysalis, I say, but you can do whatever you want. Yeah.
Yeah, the Sanderson method.
Yes. It's a translated work from another planet. It's how I pronounced it. So I'm just the translator.
It's how it was given to you in a dream when you were younger. Of course. Yeah.
It took a couple dreams to make. So like the books used to be one book,
Mhm.
and I split them up, and it ended up being 2/3. That Deathless Beast made up 2/3 of the original, and the second half was the last third, and I couldn't figure out how to resolve book 1 at all. And I had sat on it while I was working on Thrice and stuff, and then I think I had some kind of fever dream about it, and I was like, "That's it, okay, here's how it has to end," and ended up inserting the whole Green Bastion sequence, and then working how it ties into the point where it gets to that. To make book 1 resolve really well. I knew book 2 I was able to expand into a full novel and add a lot more plot to it to make it what it was, and I knew how it ended because it has an ending. But it took a lot of work and time before Deathless Beast had an actual ending.
That makes sense. So out of that fever dream literally came the Deathless Beast? Or was he in the text as it was?
No, I don't think he was. I think that's when he first showed up. No, he shows up, and then basically I think I ran him off in Byron.
Okay.
That was
so
when
like
he
that
ran
first
off.
time that him and Searn encounter?
Yeah. Yes, because
I mean, I need to. Okay, so let's
Gory
hold up for a hot second.
Gory existed since this whole story started as the redesign that I did back in 2017.
So, with that,
Yes,
we should probably just start going into spoilers for Deathless Beast.
okay.
So anybody looks wondering, we are doing spoilers for Deathless Beast now because we've just randomly transitioned to that randomly.
Just put us on mute and go watch something else.
Before
Exactly.
before going into spoilers, I just want to say that if you haven't read Kallattian Saga, if you're on the fence, try. It fantastic world building, actually clearly defined churches, clearly defined faith, and what role it plays in society. It's a fantastic book.
Mhm.
Actually, give it a try, at least for first book.
Yes, I agree.
And even before spoilers, we can talk about that too. Is that was my goal when I wrote it, was to write churches that felt realistic. I had so many I had read that didn't feel well researched, or how do you interact when, like, even in D&D, when all the Pantheon exists, they still hate each other and they're all burning each other. How is anything still standing? So I wanted to do a world where it allowed multiple churches to exist side by side, because they're all not just true, they actually are heading towards the same goal in a sense, just from different ways. So
And we have characters, actually, POVs from every church, at the same time outside church, leadership and members of the church. That was actually very cool.
Mhm. Yeah, I definitely love like the paladins and the paladames.
Very proud of that name.
Yes, that was a great. The first time I read that, I'm like, has anybody ever else like come across that? Like, that's a great.
I felt like I was in a rush to get published just to make sure nobody could say it before I did.
It was
low hanging fruit, and I was like, of course you call a female order of paladins paladames.
Yeah. That was great. I really like the interactions you have between the churches. I think that was really well done in everything that I've read, and I definitely appreciated not a rehash of the same evil church trope that I've seen 27 million times,
or the same two-dimensional good church that is just for the light. So like, what does that mean? We fight for the light. And it's like, yeah, but what does the light mean? I said the light. And like, ugh, thanks, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was important for me to do that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I like I think the characters within these books like are a nuanced take on that, right? Because like it's not like everybody's good or everybody's evil within the church in terms of that. It's very much.
And if you need more of that, you need to read Pillars of the Earth.
One day, eventually.
Yep.
One day, it's up there. Every once in a while, I hear a thing like that either makes me want to read it less or more. It's one of those ones that I've heard a lot of different things about. So, anything else, Anitha, you want to talk about before we go into spoilers for the first book?
No. Let's go
Okay.
ahead. I got actually my notes where I wrote down family tree of gods and all the conspiracy. That's why I went and got it actually.
Awesome.
All right. Deathless Beast spoilers. So the Deathless Beast, he kind of started just being run off by Seern, and that's kind of it. And then it kind of
he gets run off by Hannon. Or yes, when he's the beast. Before that, when he's mortal, Ralia has to escort him to Amstenhoten and turn him over to the authorities, and then he makes the deal with Kasseran to have control over his lessers.
But in like the first draft, it's just like he makes the deal and then he gets run off once and then it's gone.
And was kind of gone. Yeah. And I forget I can't remember how he was even supposed to be resolved. I hadn't gotten there yet. And then it was like, well, it needs to happen when they all meet together before we get to the big city. And so it just worked. And then there were a few more drafts after that, because I was at that point I think it was even, I got him in there as that when I was trying to pitch to traditional. So it's been there, and then have made it through multiple drafts and edits until now we're self-pub. I went indie after COVID happened because I had time to work on it. It's basically kind of now I can figure this out, and so I was able to pivot to indie.
Have the fever dream, and he's a part of that whole thing that happens. He gets absorbed in the first book, end of first book, right?
He does.
Nice.
Yes. His ring is put in the epilogue into the shroud itself.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. And I'm very glad I did. Sometimes authors will say that plot holes are just future story fodder, and if you don't know, if you brush away, well, it's a plot hole I'll fix later, you haven't thought things through well enough. You should know when you have a big old plot hole, when you're going to fix it. If you're like, I'll figure it out later, then why not resolve it now?
Yeah.
So
I agree with that.
It takes a little work.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Who are the two gods, Cash and Nas, right? Who are those two gods in relation with the gods in Bone Shroud? I need to write down. We can talk about it during Bone Shroud spoilers.
All right. The big spoiler is the fact that in the opening sequence, the two storytellers, who were Cash and Nair, Cash and Nair are Quinn's already laughing. Kashiran and Akenarut. So Akenarut, the deceiver.
But they're dark gods, right?
They're what?
Akenarut is a dark god.
He's a dad. No, he's the last god that came into being.
Dark god, I mean.
Yes, he's a dark god. Yes, he's the deceiver.
So, why did they help these guys during the travel? Okay,
because it's fun. Because he's the deceiver, and he is constantly pulling at the webs of mortals and playing with them.
Nice. I actually didn't even realize that. I think I noticed them in what? I mean, well, you called it out more specifically in the next one.
I call it out the more and more I go. I made a decision. I probably think after I released Deathless Beast to stop trying to be so clever, because readers like Anitha and Quinn and a couple other friends picked up on the moment they show up on the page, like, oh, they're gods. They're like, yeah. And me trying to hide it under a whole bunch of story, there's no point, because if those who are looking for that kind of thing will pick up on it, and those who don't, I don't have to hide anything. Instead, I might even be treating my readers as stupid. And so I don't veil a lot. I just don't say it until I do. In fact, in book 3, especially by book 4, I am very heavy-handed. So this is so-and-so, right? so that if somebody hasn't picked up on it by book 4, that's fine. And it just means by knowing that, you're now going to see more things as you go along, that you know that they're pulling at strings. The only thing I kind of keep secret is what's happening in the interludes between the Modians talking in code. That's supposed to be in code, and everything else is a lot less coded than it appears.
Who are the Modians again? I'm terrible with
the Modians are like everybody who has a nickname, like
yeah, that's
Shroud,
right. Okay,
and
there we go.
And Dusk, and all of them are talking in code and talking over each other, and because they're trying to outdeceive each other as well, they're not trying to hide anything, or they're not trying to say anything, so they talk in code. But almost everything else is a lot more in on the nose than you probably realize it.
So when you
not
say
in like a
code,
super deep Malazan level, where it's like you're gonna look back and go, oh, it was there all along. It's like I've been saying it all along, and I try to say it pretty loudly. So
hello. So with the Modians, when you say they're talking in code, do you mean a literal code, or do you mean they're just talking around each other?
Talking around each other, yeah.
Okay, cool. Good to know, because I was about to ask, like, okay, is this like literally, are you gonna like release a code at the end? Hey,
no, it's not like an actual code talk. They're just talking around each other. Yeah.
That makes sense. I think that's some of the most interesting conversations throughout the entire like series for me, because it's like I know that they're talking around each other, and I'm like, okay, what are they saying? This was something that I had a little bit of difficulty with. I feel like I need to like have a handy dandy like piece of notepaper next to me, being like, okay, this person is this person, and this person is that person. Especially in the second book, when I felt like more of them were popping up, that I was like, yes, I needed to remember. Where'd the oh gosh, I hate names. The gold guy from the first one, from Deathless.
Oh, Gold Eater.
Yeah, Gold Eater. That and the race of them.
Yeah, the Vul.
The Vul. Where'd they come from?
Vul. They came from what used to be much more wolfen, and then I just kind of unwolfed them a little bit. So way back in the day, this was much more classic fantasy, and with elves, dwarves, and then Hrogrins and Tiakai, which were basically orcs, but they are not the same culture as orcs at all, and so not orcs. And so when I started this last edition in 2017, I started removing all my animals and replacing them with fantastical ones. So anything from mythology, I would pull from there. And then I was like, well, but why do I have elves, but I have Hrogrins? So why don't I just replace all the races but humans with non-fantasy ones and make up my own? And so I had fun doing that and did all of that, and that required that like the Vul become not wolves. The gods specifically were much more anthropomorphic, like Egyptian gods with animal heads. Removed that too, because I can't have a wolf-headed god if there's no wolves in the world. And so it would have been too much work for me to try to work around, well, this god has a griffin's head and this god has a dragon. It was just too much extra work that for the reader. And so I ended up kind of defragging that, and then making the Vul. So the Vul follow Kassaran, and they are more likely to get or ask for cursed blessings from him. And so you get Gold Eater, who asked for his hunger for gold to be fulfilled, and so now all he can eat is gold. So he becomes gold. And there's another one who's referenced in book 3 called Doth Gormak, who's the dry walker, and he's basically famine incarnate. He cannot touch water, and so when he crosses a river, the river dries up, and everywhere he walks becomes desert. And he will show up in the Protectorate Wars.
Ooh, nice.
Yes.
I'm really excited about the Protectorate Wars trilogy.
Me too.
Because everything that I hear in the books about the Protectorate Wars, I'm like, yes, I want to see this guy who is now super old just going ham when he was younger.
Yes. Like, I have a lot of research to do. I'm listening to a 87-part podcast on the 30 Years War, so I can get a non-World War One or a non-World War in an older era that still has a large encompassing theater for me to draw some inspiration from. So
30-Year War wasn't one of the French England ones, was it?
No, 1600s, Hungaro-Prussian, with the ruling family that owned like Spain and Hungary at the same time, the Habsburgs. So it was their fault. So basically, it was World War. It was the actual first World War, if you count a series of world wars, where you can do the 30 Years War, the Revolutionary War, and War of 1812 was kind of a world war because it took place. There was a war taking place in the Napoleonics as well as America is World War II. So really, we've actually had 4 world wars in the European scale of world wars. That there have actually been 4 of them, and they're all kind of tied together over 400 years. So
yes, glossaries are super, super important. I will say this, as is formatting of the glossaries.
Yeah, I'm gonna work on that.
I feel like that's one of the underrated things. It's just like you have a list, and it's like, okay, how do we make this so it's like it works well on the eyes?
I will say, Quinn, who's in the chat right now, he is actually working on a wiki that will
nice.
It's basically done, and we're gonna roll it out. Called if you look up wiki fandom under Kallattiad, 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 because that's what I'm going to call the whole body of Kallattian stories, is to be the Kallattiad. So that's the wiki that he's set up there, and
it exists.
I'm adding little things. It does exist.
I'm adding little things here and there. Spelling of the double L's and double T's.
Yes, I was trying to remember if it was an A before the second T, before the T's.
Patricia mentioned somewhere above, you need to publish or put somewhere all that fairy tales, we talked about. I think in first book we got 2, second book we got 1.
You technically got 2, but Jinna wasn't a very good storyteller.
I remember only
He
one.
tells the story of how Grisone told Saint Nicail to make his hammer, and then when he looks up the hammer, he's gone, and then he later goes and marches off to war. So technically there's 2. He's just not a very good storyteller.
That's okay. I can forgive that in Janet. Okay. He has all other good qualities.
Yes, he does. I will have. I think there's 2, and I think there's 2. Yeah, I know there's 2 in book 3. Still need to write a second one for book 4. I do want to compile them. It would be like, I would do it probably like the Ladies of Grace would do, as a hardback, and probably find some illustrators. Hint, Sarah, who's not here right now, but so I can do it as Ladies of Grace would do, a small little handbook of stories. Maybe I'll put some scriptures in there, that kind of thing.
Nice. Yeah. Do you have you commissioned more art in terms of all these non-fantasy creatures, or do you have art that eventually you want to share, or are you going to commission more?
I have one so far, which is of Whisper, and that's on my Instagram. There will be more made later this year, because we're going to be working towards a hardback Kickstarter at the end of the year. So for once I have book 4, but I can't make promises until book 4 draft 1 is done. Then I can actually set up a timeline and figure out when can we kickstart, when can I have hardbacks done. And when I do the hardbacks, I will have a creature at every part of each book. So if I can pull off 6, there's about 6 parts or so for every book, and I would love to have a creature at the top of each part.
Are we going to see more animal companions?
I'm thinking about it. Jinned gets one in book 4. I almost gave somebody else one, but I decided I'm going to hold off until after book 8 and write a weird, Call of the Wild novella from the point of view of an animal. Ooh. But I need to have that animal show up a few times from book 4 on, so I can then tell his story as a non-sentient Call of the Wild style from a point of view of this particular creature. It's not Whisper.
Nice. Okay, Yinfeld. Okay. Nice. I think I've seen this picture before.
And if you can ping me, if you're like, hey, I want to know more about such and such, I'll just go make it up and put it into the wiki, and or tell you, and you can go put it in the wiki. So
force you to world build and put things.
Oh darn! I hate world building so much.
Yeah, we can tell. Nice.
I world build too much. I admit that, I had 30 years of doing it, and it's also because I was scared to write the book, and so I world build, and now I'm, and no, Tori, it'll be like Call of the Wild because it's from the point of view of the creature, but that doesn't mean it won't have a White Fang narrative to it necessarily. We'll see. And will our Kickstarter have more new artwork? Tori, you know who to talk to.
You know who to kickstart into gear.
Yes, and she has to release her to me too.
It's true. Who knows how many how many illustrations she's going to do for, I don't know, Bloodstones?
And you know what? If Sarah's too busy, that doesn't mean that she can't do some, and I can work with another artist too.
That's true. There's more than one artist, even though
she's amazing and she does like creatures. So
yeah. Yes, we know. Nice. So the novella is coming out at the end of this month.
Yes.
When do you have a deadline for book 3? Because I know you're pretty close with that.
Yes, it's all but done. I'm waiting for the cover artist to finish the artwork, and as soon as that cover art's done for both the novella and for the for book 3, I go. So nice. I'm guessing September 16th will be the release date. I need to get the art, I need to upload it, and I need to get Anitha the audiobook, because once I upload audiobook, I don't get the codes to give to ARC readers for 2 weeks. And so I like there to be a little time. If not, if it's August 29th and I just get what I need and I go and start uploading, I probably will just push go because I don't want to wait till the end of September for the book to come out. Yeah. And I'll push go for September 16th, and we'll just have to make up for time after that.
Cool.
Nice. So it is 100%. It is imminent. Like I've got all the audiobook files done. I just got to upload them, and it takes a day or two for me to get all of the uploading done. And then you just got to wait for it to get approved. And then we can start blasting pre-orders. So
very nice. I'm excited.
You already have all this pantheon of gods, order of churches, everything ready, or you're making it up while writing?
Do I make it up as I go?
Yeah.
Yes and no. I don't usually make things immediately up on the fly. If I come across something that what I've already built can't answer, I will stop everything and spend time to world build that event. And that's what I suggest most writers do, more so than actually trying to figure it all out. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that you know how the coinage works.
Mm-hmm.
You can get really obsessive. I currently have only introduced through 2 coinage groups, and that's that all the northern groups use 1, which is based on like a noble ranking system. Like the knit is the lowest, and so what a knight could pay their peasant, and above that is a duke for what a duke can pay their. Or there's one, but I think there's a barrow. I think it's knit, barrow, baron. Duke is a duke, and a royal would be what a king could pay somebody for a day's wages, basically. So I built it that way. Versus down in the mercantile area, they use the lire, which is like the Italian lira. So that's the only ones I've introduced, and I never discuss what the actual conversion is to them. I just show what it's worth, what you get out of it. And obviously some people are taking advantage of the coin system and some of them aren't. So I don't do all that, but I do, like Trisha's saying, I do my moon. I did my moon phases like 4 years ago, and I kind of stopped paying attention to them, but I will go back every once in a while and check, because I went ahead and mapped out like a whole year, and the book has not left outside of that year yet. So I don't have to go and figure out new moon cycles yet, because I hate when it's always the full moon in a book. And so I want to be able to say it is pitch black out right now, or, this day is a great day for when it's going to be just eerie red out, because only Norlock is up and it only comes up after midnight. And so I can play with that as for my lighting, so there's a little bit more ambiance. But I do not suggest people figure out their moon phases, especially for 2 moons that run on different cycles. It's a lot of work. Do the work if you love to do it.
I mean, you're at the point you could probably create your own orrery.
A what?
Is it like an orrery where you have like the moon? You could actually like a physical representation.
Oh yeah.
Like,
that'd be fun. Yeah. Don't tempt me, Frodo.
That'd be really cool. I will say Tori does have a question.
Okay, go ahead. Then I'll ask mine.
Okay. So do you have advice on writing like series and keeping the reader invested over a longer story?
Read this book.
Of course. Just
K.M. Weiland's archetypal characters, which talks about the 6 life arcs. I'll try to do this very, very short. But basically, we all know the hero cycle. Some of us know about the heroine's cycle, but it really breaks down better in saying the maiden, the hero, the queen, the king, the crone, and the mage. And it basically, your YA is because you're a teenager, into your young adulthood, into your post-parentage, to being a king, to what do you do in old age, to what do you do as an old man. We all go through these arcs, and sometimes we go through them in our lives in a very fast time. Like we might say, I'm in my hero's arc as a writer. I think I'm actually in my queen's arc right now. Anyway, the reason you do all that is rather than saying, here, this hero is under this part of the hero cycle, and this hero is at a different point of the hero cycle, it becomes way too complicated and too much sameness. When you start layering them or extending their arcs, you can lay a long arc that somebody's a hero over the course of 3 books. And then this hero is going to have a full hero arc in this story. So they can grow into their next story and go into their next zone. So like Jinid has a hero's arc that takes 2 books to go through from book 1 and 2. That is his finished arc. So he actually has a flat arc in book 3, so that he can take off after book 4 into a queen's arc. Anyway, that's how I do it. Is by I'm a planner, and I say, okay, how can I layer? And also I'll dial people. I'll like playing with a soundboard. I'll dial people up and say, right now this is their story, and they're turned down and they're quiet, or their story takes place off screen. So layering your characters, not just in one book, but over the course of a series, allows you to tell a ton more stories, and also have characters you really love who don't have a lot of plot. Like right now, in the first 2 books, Soraya has very little plot, but she exists and she's important because she's heading towards her arc, and then her arc takes off at the end of book 2. So
yes, I'm excited for that.
Me too.
Yeah,
that's that answer. What was your question, Anitha?
You mentioned in Bone Shroud, I'm not sure if you mentioned in Deathless Beast, I forgot.
Okay.
It's been 6 months. But in Bone Shroud, you mentioned 7 members of White Pantheon. That means gods. So I think for each race, 1 god is there, like Hell, Greens, Cavaliers. Who are the other 4?
Yep. Like what race goes with each god? So Aben had a people who were killed back before the destruction, and they're implied to be a sea people, and they are now his watchers. So they were completely genocided, and he turned all of them into his angels, basically, to act as his interactions between the worlds. Chrysania doesn't have a people. Can't say more than that. Rapho. Sakarn, Wiv, there it is, Quinn, has the Gigantes. So they were actually the very first people created. He created 12 Gigantes, and the Gigantes, none of them, they're still around. They don't die, but they do. And when they die, they absorb whatever touches them next. And so, like, there's one Gigantes that lives in the ocean because a crab touched his carcass, and the crab became the new Gigantes and went into the ocean. And so there's 12 of them out there. There's one that has never died, and other ones have all absorbed different. And they're all like 200 feet tall or less. I forget how big they are because I haven't shown them yet, so I don't have to decide till later.
Okay, so the crab touched the carcass and became giant crab.
Yes, because the soul of the Gigantes went into the crab, and it basically morphed into a giant crab
thing.
Not just a giant crab, but like absorb, kind of the collective lives of the Gigantes is shown in each Gigantes.
So how does that work on a on a level of physics? Like, where does it get the energy to grow to that?
Well, it wouldn't happen overnight.
Have to eat a lot?
It doesn't have to happen overnight. Crabs will eat anything, right? True. But if it then has the soul, and then it basically the morphology will be changed so that it then it is then capable of growing into what it is. So it's a genetic rewrite at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. A spren goes in. No.
So magically
Sakarn, who is Wiv's wife, does not have a people, but the Veld is hers. So Dream is hers. So she doesn't have a sentient people. So those are the four adults.
Viv is Aben's brother, right?
Yes, the two of them were created at the same time. Yeah, and Wiv is the seventh member of the pantheon, of the White Pantheon. Like, he is not fallen; he's just the judge in Nasatan.
Okay, I have a question. Viv is the judge, but Nifara is the one who collects souls.
Yes, so she's more like the lawyer. She's the advocate. So she doesn't decide. Wiv decides, but she goes there and takes a soul there and will advocate for those who deserve it, who she believes deserves it.
And Nifara is Grison's sister.
Correct. His little sister.
And who is Casseron?
Aben and Chrysania had Lezek, who's the Kavili god of wisdom, Grizon, who made man, then Nefara, and then Kaznat Taral is the god of the forest, who's the creator of the Minotaur, but is the current god of the Hrograns.
Do the Minotaur have a god currently then, or no?
Yes. Yeah, he didn't abandon them. He just said, "Hey guys, I got to go take care of this problem," and he's been the god of the Hrograns for 2,000 years. But they still have him as their god. They just are like the Kavili, kind of on a different level of they're mature enough to not need him around to tell them what to do.
Mm-hmm.
In that sense. Go ahead, Anitha. So anyway, so that's the White Pantheon. And then you asked who Kassaran is. Wiv and Sakarn had 3 children, which was Ryon, the god of destruction, who was originally the arbiter before he fell, and I can't tell you about his people, but they're called the Raush. The Rauesh, but I can't tell you about them. Then Kia Renewal is the god who created the Gren and is the god of the Tiakai, who are also a derivation of the Gren. And the Hrogren came from the Gren as well. And he was scarred by the dark gods, basically went off into a desert and started pouting and has basically abandoned his people.
Very nice.
And then their third child was Kassaran, who's the gift giver. And then the deceiver showed up and brought his brothers all down. Because he showed up because Sakarn imagined him to exist, and so he sprang into existence. But he does not have a father. So Wiv was not involved. He was too busy. And so Sakarn was jealous of the 4 children of her sister and had another child in Dream.
Yeah. So he's basically a child of the Veld.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So does Sigarn kind of keep a guard on herself after the creation of
I
Deceiver?
recently decided. So she was a member of the Black Coterie, and people who have followed her are bad, but she has recently been forgiven, and I think it's because I haven't decided yet, but it's probably because of the what happened during the Protectorate Wars was kind of her finally re-earning her way back into the Pantheon. So, so she is not a dark goddess anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Which
How
shows
does
that
that how does that show up within like the cultures? Like, is that something
everybody's afraid of the Veld except for those who aren't? So it shows up in that they are very fearful of Dream, and dreams are bad. Yes.
How did
she's in rehab?
She's in rehab. Did the forgiveness in the Pantheon show up in the cultures? Is kind of what I'm saying. It's like so she was part of the Black Coterie, and then she got forgiven. Who was she forgiven by, and like how did that show up within culture?
She was forgiven. So she was forgiven by them, and she is now back with her husband.
Okay.
And but she's still healing, so she's not fully functional as of yet.
Yeah,
she will be eventually. That's a huge plot point, but she is currently kind of in. Yeah, she's like Quinn said, she's kind of in rehab right now. She's finishing up her healing, and not as like a punishment. Yeah, she is.
Very nice.
So that leads us into like there's the four worlds, right?
Yeah.
So there's Kallattai, which is the physical world, and there's the Veld, which is the most closest to the world because it's the mind. It's the world of the mind. So it is just under reality, whereas Lomin and Nasatan are separate from entirely. Yeah.
Didn't we see Lomin in book 2? Was it Lomin or was it?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. We saw the Veld, but we saw Lomin.
We saw Lomin through Jinnid's eyes when he was Jinnid as Hammer.
Yeah, because there's that whole thing with I thought it was twice. Because there was Jinnid part.
Go ahead, Pete.
And then there was the part with Chrysania.
Oh yeah. Yes. A very small portion, but yes. Mm-hmm. Yep. How does time work for them? So they are the gods are effectively archangels in the Tolkien sense. So like in Tolkien's world, they there's the above god who then had his lesser gods that sang the world into existence, right? As a choir and all that with Melkor and whatnot. So they are like that on level. They are limited. They're limited. Like they're not omnipresent, but that doesn't mean that they can't move a lot faster than anybody else and zip around wherever they need to go. But they don't know. They aren't all knowing. Nor are they all powerful. They have a lot of power, but they are not all powerful. So time is still going to affect them, but that doesn't mean that they couldn't just decide to, take a nap for 5 minutes and have it be a 500-year nap if they wanted to, to their own benefit.
I know this is a joke, Tori, but I also was questioning myself for a second.
So does that answer your question, Anitha?
Yeah, but
you wanted to know who? Oh, you wanted to know who everybody's people were, and the last one was Casteran has the Vol. So that's the last answer.
Oh,
yeah.
I have one last question about gods. Hopefully, it's the last question. It's also a silly question, actually. Okay. Why did that god met Ralia and asked her to give message to Kavili instead of directly giving to Kavili?
It's a good question. Maybe because the interaction of asking a mortal to do it for you allows them to have some prescience in their own fate.
So are you saying Imbris is not immortal?
Imbris is not immortal.
Yeah, I noted it down actually.
Which god asked Ralia to send that message?
So Ralia goes to the coast on
Yeah,
her wild
wasn't
goose
that?
chase, and she meets an old man on the sea, and he
Yeah, that
talks about how
was.
his people are there. That Abin had people of the sea,
Mhm.
and nobody has fed him fish in a very long time.
Yeah, that was Abin, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. I thought there was a second one for a second. First of all, whoever told you this is
That's stupid, actually.
it's very stupid. Gosh, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Chill. Whoever this author is, you need to get off your high horse.
Tell him to go away.
Yeah.
They're 100% valid no matter how you do your book. It is
Yeah.
so much more important for you to know yourself, know thyself, and know how you do things. And sometimes you have to modify how you do things.
Yeah.
Like I tried to, when I was writing these books in 2017, the whole last section of Bone Shroud, I Discovery wrote, and I finished it, but it stressed me the heck out. I was so stressed out, and so since then I can't do discovery writing except in like small sprints because it did not help. But that's me. I like outlining, and I know whenever I talk to Tori that outlining stresses her the heck out, and that's fine. So don't. If another author says you're not A because you don't do it the way I do it, they're not only wrong, they're their own worst enemy, and not and don't let them be your enemy.
It's true. We don't need those type of people.
That's right. It's a them
in
problem.
our lives.
I forgot the term for them. The old monk Seraya talked to the guy Cragnan, but he was
Oh yeah,
originally
Cragnar. Yep.
the Karognayan of seventh. What is that order actually, and how many are there? And did we see anyone else?
Yes. So Nefara has currently 9 saints, and who have made a world-shattering decision. And it could be something from they founded a nation in a huge judgment, and when they do that, those saints break their staff, like their actual staff, which would be really hard to do, especially if you're a little old monk. And when they break their staff, rather than breaking a symbolic stick, they are making a commitment that they're basically giving up their soul to immortality, to become immortal and act as an immortal servant of Nefara. You will probably start to notice that there's some correlations of the fact that all of her saints have these blessings, which to other people's minds might be considered a curse. You have to spend your whole immortal life going to nursing homes. For some people, that's a good thing. Other people are like, oh my gosh, I couldn't do that. Right? Because that's just perspective. And she's the 3rd child of her parents, and so is Kassaran. So there's a little bit of a mirroring in how they interact with their people and how they bless their people. Only one is twisted and one is not.
Nice. Is it
so
possible...
he's called the 7th because he was number 7 of 9.
True. Is it possible for somebody to fake that?
To fake immortality?
To fake the breaking of the staff thing? To be like, is it possible for someone to be so arrogant to think, oh, this is world shattering, and break their staff or
I haven't done it yet, but I'm gonna now. I'll put it into an epigraph, and the monk's name will be Pete.
Oh, nice. He'll fake.
Yeah.
Torn down by his own hubris. Wow.
Yeah,
nice.
Exactly. Yeah, which is a huge theme in the books, right? Is that Hannon, he hates the idea of being a hero because all heroes fail in this world, at least in his point of view. Is anybody who wants to be a hero, that's hubris, and they're going to fall, and that scares the crap out of him.
Nice. Do we want to get into Bone Shroud spoilers so Anitha can take the wheel? All right, let's do this. All right, if you haven't read Bone Shroud, caution, very caution. I know we've probably said some things that probably shouldn't have before. I apologize, but Now we're really just going to purposely do it.
Heavy enough? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a huge burden on my shoulders. Can I just say I want a bone shroud?
No, you
Seriously, don't become
I
Hanan.
don't, but I
Actually,
do.
no, I will not allow you to have it.
I don't like
I
the
am,
ethical implications of how to get it, but I like it.
Yeah.
but I
There's a lot of
hate
cool
the
things.
fact that
Yes.
um, Shan, I can't say his name.
CERN, it's fine. Yeah.
Cern. Okay,
Yeah.
Cern's
Shaun of the Dead.
his point is actually valid. These gods are actually playing with them. It's like Thanos all over. His point is valid, but the way he's going about it is wrong.
I do a lot of that. Almost all of the Modians are right. Just how they go about it. Like the statements they make are factually true, but they look at it from the wrong lens, and so it's wrong.
Okay, so sorry, Tori. I'm surprised actually, son. I can see that he's not finished as a character completely, but at the same time he was dealt with very fast. I wasn't expecting that
Yes.
actually.
I don't know
And
that
I'm
was either.
I'm super worried as a character arc for a story. It's a great character arc for Hanan, but Raleigh and Hanan, no, I don't want that to happen to Hanan actually. I don't want that to cause a rift between Hanan and Ralia. Also, Infald is supposed to bring good luck to Hanan. This is not good luck.
But from whose point of view?
My point of view, that's all that
Right.
matters to me.
The number of texts I get from readers after they finish Bone Shroud that usually are just, "Oh, Hanan, you stupid boy."
Basically.
Yeah.
That's where I was at.
And my point is actually he has everything else going right in his life, at least in Bone Shroud. He has a girl, he has
Yep.
power, he has his business is, becoming good. Just because of, I think he decided that after he met his father, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, don't we all do that? Where we have things going well in certain things, and then we just crap it up in other things that ruins the good things we do have. And
because there's something new, something different, something
Exactly,
cool.
Quinn. Exactly. I was so frustrated. Oh my god. I was like, think. Why are you listening to whatever San is telling? Think for you. Use your brain.
Yeah.
He frustrated me so much.
But CERN is so charming.
No. Okay.
Are we going to see more of like characters like the Deathless Beast and Seern because they're in the Bone Shroud? Like, is it possible for them to make more appearances?
Maybe. Raffo.
Nice. Very nice.
Are we going
For
to see...
everybody in the chat, Raffo means read and find out.
If anybody hasn't, read Sanderson is our god.
Exactly. Yep.
Right.
I would love to come up with my own version of Raffo, because I know he inherited that from Jordan.
Yeah.
And so I'd like to figure out something that I can use as my Raffo, so I don't feel like I'm using that over him.
Raffo's just so catchy, though.
So it is really catchy.
You'll have to find out.
Yafo.
Yitfu.
Yafo.
Yitfu. Read on.
Read on, my wayward son.
Basically, yeah.
Okay.
Are you done, both of you nerds? Can I ask my next
Rom
question?
was. Go for it. Go for it, Anitha. Take the wheel.
I forgot also what I wanted to ask about Hannon's and Ralia's grandfather or great grandmother? Grandmother or great
Yes.
grandmother?
Great grandfather and great grandmother. Yes.
Yeah. So when they escape from the, oh my god, I'm forgetting the
Protector Wars.
terminology. When they left the Palatine, that's
When they left Perry and Tour, right? Yep.
Perienter.
Yep.
Why patriarch was looking for them? I mean, if he had caught them, what was his intention?
He did not know what his intention was, whether it was going to be to protect her, or we know Dorian. He's not looking for a witch hunt, but that doesn't mean that her being caught couldn't cause those problems via others who so desire to get vengeance on the failure of the apostate. Meaning, the deceiver himself would have loved to have her have been caught just to punish the failure of the servant he had chosen.
It's Papa Meredith now.
Read the manual. Yep.
Yep.
The very fine manual.
Yes, such a fine manual.
Okay, see, Deceiver doesn't have any blood relationship with Hannon's great grandmother, right? She was just a follower,
She was the daughter of
daughter of
Baptiste.
the follower.
Yes.
So why is he after that family so much?
Because he's petty.
Interesting. That makes sense.
And then he does find them and marks Marn by having him bitten by a Svolder, and laming him, so he has a limp.
Wait, who's Marn? Is the dad?
Yeah.
Marn is their father. Yeah.
Okay. Your wife is cautioning you.
Well, these are things that are mentioned, Trisha, in Bro and Shroud, so it's not a complete spoiler. But yes, I understand. Wait 2 weeks. Yeah.
I already know the answer, at least whatever we discussed. He told me while I was.
But like I said, the main character of the novella is Nathan Deluntil, who is
brother of. Yeah. He was the one Dorian took that name, right? Pretended as the until when he came back.
Sorry, say it again.
When Dorian came back, what is the city name?
Yes, when he goes back to Manfalar, he says, "Call me Nathan Deluntil, like my childhood friend." Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Which was Maida's brother, because she was an Until, so she was born Maida Until.
Okay. By the way, we did not talk about Chrysola's journey to that dual headquarters. That was actually simply superb. It reminded me of that old classic movies, I think Clash of the Titans or some other movie, where they all go on quest and they face different hurdles, all with nature, actually, that different steps. It reminded me of that.
I loved writing that.
Yeah, it was
too bad it ended how it did.
I would have preferred more time there, actually, during that journey.
Yeah. Well, it's different at every oracle.
So it's not all crystal.
That one was just built right, and the dwales are crystals.
Okay.
The environment to get to the top is different based on the oracle. Right? So like there was crystals in the rocks, so it was glamorous, and so it could act as a blinding shield. When I probably in the Protectorate Wars, we'll see the journey to the top of the one that's near Parian Tour, because there's an oracle there too. And back then, the dwale's still intact. So
interesting.
because it's 70
Talking
years
about
earlier.
talking about duels, can we talk about Katium's arc? Oh my
Yeah,
god.
yeah.
I think this is going to her arc is going to be my favorite actually next book definitely. I am super interested. She's
Good.
going on that journey.
Yes, yes. She her of all the plots, Katiam's is the one true actual quest. Over the
Mm.
course of 8 books, she will have an actual de facto quest.
A quest to either resurrect the Dweel or
Yeah,
actually bring to light the Chrysalis's race, which I already have thoughts about.
could be.
Considering the Roth is starting to speak and all that jazz, that'd be cool. If you could write plant people, that'd be really interesting.
Yes,
An entire race of plant
I can
people.
say that is true. That the Ratha is a plant people. It's my version of Ent.
Nice. We need more Ents in
It,
books,
it
so I
it looks
appreciate
more
that.
like Groot, baby Groot.
Yes, but with a flower for a head. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Try making that into a Lego set.
Yes. Yes.
You know, I was very upset when Sabine, Seb,
Uh-huh.
oh my
Yeah,
God,
Sabine.
what's wrong
Yeah,
with
you got
me?
it. Yeah, it's Sabine Epona. Yeah.
Yeah, Sabine
Yeah.
Upona fell into that, and these people did not grieve her actually. Vikatiam
Yeah.
and Astrid were her friends. I was so upset. So I'm glad we got to see her in Weld actually. I liked that entire arc of Weld.
And you haven't seen the last of her.
Nice.
Nice.
You are giving me all spoilers actually. Patricia is right.
Yeah, but then I have to make you mad and say, but not till book 5.
That's okay.
That's interesting. Will we be ever getting like full on like POVs that are in the other two worlds, Lostrum, and I remember one, the other one starts with an N.
Loman and Nasatan.
There we go.
No, that doesn't mean you won't go there.
Mm-hmm.
But actual POVs that like exists in those two worlds, probably not. At least in the first 8 books, for sure.
Nice.
But you've met all of the POVs that will exist in the first 8 books.
Nice.
I
We
don't
haven't.
think I'll introduce anybody else. That doesn't mean I might have some people show up, but I'm pretty certain all the POVs you have met them. You just haven't been in their heads yet.
Yeah.
We haven't met Fidelity yet. Are we going to see Fidelity or not?
You see who?
Fidelity, the boss of all these conspiracy. I mean, the
Oh,
Motian who is staying in
yes.
Perienda.
Fidelity. You have met him.
Nice.
Okay.
You have met him, and he's no longer in the story right now.
Okay.
So
I
later.
mean, is he
He's the
one
Deathless
who
Beast.
Yeah, no.
is he the one who went back? Somebody went back in the middle of this journey. I don't remember the name anymore.
Yes.
I have to reread Deathless Beast.
Yes. Yes. That is correct. So he was there, and he went back.
He went to Perientor.
So many seeds. So yeah.
And in Deathless Beast, we have seen what is the eastern one where people were suffering, Botali or Borani, or
In Baroni, yeah, up in the northern scapes.
Borani. So one of them actually stayed back to run these,
The bread.
center for old age people and kids. So are we going to see that again?
That is 50% of book 3.
Ooh. Nice.
Ooh. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Oh, somebody is there in Baroni. Baroni. One of the Motians is there in Baroni. Wait.
Do you have Anitha, do you have like a cork board with like red string and everything yet?
See, Son is dead. Vanguard is dead.
Yes.
Is he? Yes. And Cup is dead. San killed him. Dusk.
Yep.
Dusk is there in Baroni. He is the one actually uh, asked. I mean, Cup was actually making a deal with Sun on behalf of Dusk, where Cup was telling Sun to go to Dusk. Actually, that's where they had a disagreement, and Shan got, lost control and killed them.
You're not wrong.
I know I'm right. Ooh, ooh.
Anitha, I'm gonna need a refresher on this once book 3 comes around.
Okay.
I'm gonna need your notes for the test.
And I also put in subsequent books what's happened so far.
Yes.
It's true, but do you tell us everything?
I tell you what you need to know so that you can start enjoying the story. So no, I
what
don't.
you
I don't
think
detail
we
everything.
need to know. What you
Right.
think we need to know.
What I desire you to know,
Mm-hmm.
or not know.
Sure.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Of course, exactly. There's that gray area. Mm.
Yep. But I will say, Anitha, there were 3 men in the prologue of book 1 at the tavern.
Wait.
Can
3
you
men
make this a
from the
live
Did you
stream?
test?
prologue of book 1 in.
Yeah, there were
Yes,
3 there.
Quinn. Yes, Quinn.
With no Andrew involved, just a live stream between
Fine.
the two of you, just sitting down.
Yep. And
Actually-
I'll be there in a book. I'll be in a shade book listening.
Once I read, actually, I need to reread Deathless Beast, Quinn. I forgot, otherwise, my theories would have been more crazy. But once I read book 3, we'll have a discussion. I'll invite you on my channel.
But it's Dusk, Vanguard, and Bell.
Yeah, Bell is also not in the picture right now at the end of.
Oh, he's been
book
all
2.
through book 1 and 2.
I mean,
Yeah, I thought he was in
at
book
the end
2. I
of
remember
book 2, I
definitely.
did not know his location.
I'm okay with that.
Because I remember Bell was in on that conversation when gosh, was it Cup, Bell, and Shroud was somewhere around there. I remember them sitting in a tavern
in Fulhar. Yep.
Yep.
And then Slate walks in, being all smarmy. Yeah.
That's right. Slate. He's an idiot. Yep.
He is an
I'm
idiot.
not sure. Okay, I'm not sure if you are a fan, but if you're not a fan, don't get offended. Reading Bone Strout reminded me of reading Wheel of Time, actually.
Okay.
Because Wheel of Time also, there is something wrong with my brain. I forgot those.
It's Friday.
Forsaken. Okay, there are people called Forsaken, actually, who served
Okay,
this evil dark one in the
Yeah.
flashback.
Yeah.
Okay, so they are buried along with the dark one. So now one after one they are coming out. So we are not, at least I'm at the end of, I finished 5 books. So at the end of 5 books we met, like, we did not meet everyone, but we are told of like almost like 12 Forsaken. But they're like scattered, like we got introduced to one in book 2, two in book 3, like that. I noted down. So in book 5 or book 5 discussion on another girl's channel, I was like, this person, this person, this. They were like, so fresh. And I was like, I told my notes, I noted down. They were like, Anitha, send us our screenshot. So same here also, I was noting down. I was laughing at the same time. The descriptions of these forts, the descriptions of these clothes, so many times I thought of Wheel of Time, actually. I don't know if you have read it.
I haven't read it. I've only read the first half of book 1 a couple of times. I saw the show though.
That's definitely the same thing.
Totally the same thing.
Of course. Yes.
Yeah.
I finally unhauled them / gave them to a friend that's nearby if I really want to read them.
Good for you.
I have other big series that I need to read over the next few years.
Yeah.
Like Kallattian.
Right? Yeah. I can see myself rereading these just to keep up with Anitha's conspiracy theories.
And then, Pete, did you listen or read it?
I read it. I'm not an audiobook guy. I mean, I might, but we'll see. Because I know, like, Alan's coming out with the Way of Adon stuff, so I might listen to that, and then yours I might also reread it as an audiobook. But I typically do not do audiobooks.
Yeah, but then you could play like Total War while you're listening.
It's true. or whatever game I'm playing at the time. Which
Yeah, exactly.
what's on my desktop right now? League, Alan Wake, Halo, Dave the Diver.
Do we get more of Apostate of Ikalal?
Well, we will in the Protectorate Wars.
I intentionally did not tell who is that to confuse Pete. So
We'll see.
Do
We'll
we-
see
I don't-
the apostate in the Protectorate Wars,
okay,
but he's gone.
Yeah.
okay. Do we get to see why Deceiver chose him?
In that, absolutely, he will have a nice long villain arc in that.
And you're writing that after the first 4 or the first 8?
Yeah, I have to finish Needle and Leaf, and I have another idea I'm playing with that I'm probably going to do just as a palate cleanser before I write the Protectorate Wars as a trilogy.
Okay.
I have a lot of outlining to do for that, and I want to outline all 3 books entirely so I can hammer them out, and not just to be fast, but because that way I can get them out. So, yeah, but they'll be fat books. I will probably outline them to be 200,000 words, and these are 150, so it'll be a little bit bigger than these, and then they'll probably end up a little shorter than that, probably 175 each. But I've been trying not to go over 200 because then it becomes cost prohibitive for indie.
True.
It just not just cost prohibitive to me, but to readers as well. Because no, I don't want to charge somebody $40 for a paperback.
Oh,
yeah.
So it jumps from like 20 to 40 at that point, or whatever?
If I was to write a 250 to 300,000 word book, I've seen other books that are that big, and I'm like, I don't know how they're making any money without, because unless they're selling direct from like their garage. Yeah, it has to be worth it to everybody.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, I have 2 questions, and you have to answer them.
I have to answer them. Okay.
I mean, Quinn can't theorize with me because he already read book 3, and I'm very upset about that, by the way.
You hadn't read book 2 yet, though, so
I'm very upset about it. It doesn't matter. Where is Sarah's arc going, actually?
I can't answer that. What do you mean?
I think she's going to become a saint.
What do you mean when you ask that? So I can say you have seen so far that she has had some traumatic moments.
Yeah. So she is worried that Nifara is angry with her. So
she is worried about that.
Yeah. So see, there are always 2 paths one can choose at that point. As Pete suggested, she can become a saint, more faithful, or she can become like Hanan, actually, take an evil path or negative path. So I can't ask you that.
Her personality is based on my wife. So if that gives you an inclination of whether I'm allowed to make her a villain or not, that should answer that.
She's going to take
what you are thinking.
So what you're saying is she's going to have an evil villain arc where she takes down and replaces Nifara.
Yes.
As the supreme judgment. Yes.
No. So the another theme that's kind of through this book is various reactions to mass traumatic events. So like we've had the end of Bone Shroud, which was a mass traumatic event for everybody involved, whether they are a Black Sentinel who was under control of the Gauntlet, to Soraya being forced to possibly be killed almost twice. So they are all going to react differently, as we all do, to events. Some people, in real life will drown their trauma with alcohol or drugs. Others will run to the creation of new trauma and others are running to hide under the shadow of potential new trauma. So there's a bit of that starts in book 3 and beyond, because it was a mass traumatic event for everybody involved. And what do you do in the fallout of that? What do you do after World War II when you get home? Everybody had a different reaction, and so I'm exploring quite a bit of that, and that goes for Soraya and several others too.
Interesting.
Okay.
Are we gonna
Ooh.
are Hannah and Ralia gonna stay in Monfilar? Because it
No.
seems okay. That's what I thought. Because I kind of feel like they, even despite them like building something with the caravan, I always get the impression that they're just like dip, even though they built things. It's really.
I mean, imagine
Hannon
it's
overheard.
basically Black Iron. Black Iron was kind of a company that went bankrupt because of what CERN did. So, if you want real world correlations,
oh, so is their guild membership being revoked or something, or just
and
nobody wants to use them?
Like I can say, in the first 5 minutes of book 3, all the Sentinels in town have basically skedaddled. So it's just
Makes
the two
sense.
of them, and 2 people cannot do the contracts for 100 people.
Of course.
Yeah. What was your second question, Anitha?
I don't want to ask.
You don't want to ask?
Yes, I'm upset.
I did answer your question about Soraya.
Without answering my question.
I didn't. I can't tell you her actual plot.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
I can tell you will be more upset then than you are now.
Okay. See, okay, let's talk about Junaid, my favorite character.
All right.
Junaid actually was most relatable in this when he got jealous that that other guy, can see Grison. that
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh, this is my personal god in my pocket.
Yeah.
Chill. Oh.
Yeah. That was the standard bearer, Valère Caton. And he starts talking with him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Valère's like 85 years old. So he's an old man too. So to be jealous of him having already had a relationship beforehand.
That's very relatable actually, because it doesn't matter who that person is. Junaid felt special that God chose him. It's same thing. If an author talks with you or sends you an arc, people think that, oh, we are friends, but they end up sending arc first to somebody else and they read first.
Yeah. So what you're saying is the best way to stay a friend with an author is to read their books faster?
No.
You got to read faster than they write it.
That's right. Yeah. And then breathe down our necks to write another one.
Oh, no, they have to wait. They're supposed to wait. Anyway, see, at the end, during the final fight, when Grison told Junaid to take the to take the third vow. See, I understand why Grison said that, to get more power to Junaid so that he can defeat CERN. But not to you. Quinn and Pete, question to you. Don't you feel God asked you or pushed you, pushed his follower to take the third vow?
That he was pushed to take it? A little bit, but I think that he was leaning towards the catch 'em all mentality to begin with. If that makes sense. I mean, well, even with the whole deeper faith thing, you could argue that he was pushed.
Okay. As a story, I am liking where it's going. I think Grison has this ultimate plan for Junaid. That part I like, but at the same time, okay, this is going to sound stupid. Don't judge me. But Junaid, I feel like he's going far from me. Not no more human. Like he's becoming more closer to God. I'm not sure I'm okay with that.
So I'll say that that's what it kind of feels like. Yeah, that's exactly what it feels like. It feels like to me that Jinid and Hanan are on completely opposite paths. Like if you look at Hanan's like disgust against the hero, Jined is everything that Hanan doesn't like. Jined is literally there to become like the next hammer or whatever of Grisone. If that's is that the right title?
Yeah.
Yeah, but Hanan is choosing his own path at least. I mean, he's a dumb. He's letting son push him in that path, but Jinned also is letting Grison push in the path. It didn't feel like 100% he took that decision by himself.
You could compare both of his extra vows he takes as different situations.
That's a good
In
point,
that,
Vin, actually. That is a very good point, actually. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, it wouldn't have worked. Yeah, yeah. Maybe because the thought came from Grison, it felt like, uh, Janet did not choose that. But yeah, if he was, I don't know.
I get what you mean. You could compare it to Frodo taking the ring from Council of Elrond, right? That he has done all he is supposed to have done, and that is take the ring to Elrond. That's what he agreed to do. He did not have to leave the last homely house with the ring.
Mm-hmm.
But when he saw everybody else's decision to try to take it for themselves, he knew that he always knew Gandalf had kind of asked him from the beginning to take the ring the whole way, even though those weren't the words that Gandalf used, right? So, and so you see it especially in the movie that when he does say, "I'll take the ring," and Gandalf sighs, he knew it was going to be Frodo from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
But Frodo had to make that decision. And if he
And
hadn't made that decision, Gandalf would have figured out something else.
And I think you see that in The Hobbit as well with Gandalf and Bilbo.
Mm-hmm.
It's a constant familial relationship.
Right.
That sounds like me, Knights of Frill. I'm sorry, I don't know your name.
Well, yeah. Well, like when you have to make a decision on what to go after for dinner, right? What do you want? Well, I don't know. What do you want? And then when someone says, "But do you want burgers?" Well, I don't want burgers.
Yeah.
I'd rather have tacos. It's like, then why didn't you say tacos in the first place? Well, because you always kind of knew you were going to say tacos. You didn't want to be the one to say it.
Or like the best way that I find to make decisions sometimes is to flip a coin, because as soon as you flip the coin, you know which one you're going to choose.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with
when the other
actually
one
flipping
shows
the
up.
coin.
Yeah.
See, your metaphor, I understand while making it, but after making the decision, I'll be happy with the eating tacos because that's what I wanted. But here, Janet is worried how he's going to handle those three vows. It looks like he's not completely 100% satisfied with his decision.
Yeah.
Isn't that more like fear of the unknown more than anything? Because one of the reasons you could say that he didn't take the second vow until he was pushed into deeper faith was because it was something that nobody did. And he wasn't sure if he could, and then he was pushed into it. He's like, no, I guess I got to do I'm going to do this. I'm going to choose this. And then this third one, there's something similar along the lines of, oh, this is 2 is a lot. 3, ooh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Also, if he's the Hammer of Grisone, how is he going to do the vow of pacifism? That's going to be an interesting conundrum right there.
How many vows Dorian took?
Dorian's only taken 1.
Everybody else has only taken 1, correct?
Mm-hmm.
No, but I don't remember what was brother adjutant. That was Jeanette's
his rank, his
position and rank.
Yeah.
So he got that because he took that second vow, right? No.
When he took the second vow, his cordons immediately ranked up.
Yeah.
As a sign, as a sign that it was legit. Yeah.
I thought everyone has to take 2 vows to be that rank and
Just
above.
1. No, most of them rank up because of superiority as they gain, they join middle management or get a promotion. So that happens. That's just normal ranks. But yeah, like Quinn said, Grizone said, yeah, so he's a rank up because of this, and so that it's ordained. It's not like Grizone came out immediately said, and by the way, he's the Prima Pater now. He didn't do that. Has him on his journey, his path.
Oh, he'll be there eventually.
Quinn, I'm happy to hear that actually. I mean, in book one, Jeanette was my favorite character. In book two, I'm not sure if I have favorite character.
I just really enjoyed the Prima Pater getting out and slapping those voles in the beginning in book one. That was great.
Yeah.
Made me excited for Protectorate Wars.
He's gonna have a path to walk because he was as a young man he was an arrogant little prick.
Nice.
Before he becomes a paladin, and even after he becomes a paladin. So I'm really looking forward to writing that arc. And but I will say this, and I'm going to say it now because I'm going to force myself to do this. Is Dorian and Maida are not ever going to have POVs, including in the Protectorate Wars. I will tell their stories from outside of them through Nethindel and others because I want them to be the people you see,
bigger than life,
and are watching grow, versus the characters that you're following. Yeah.
I don't know if you've talked about this before or said this before in the books. Were Maida and Dorian married before or after they became the Prima Pater and the matriarch?
After. I don't mind. It's not even a plot point, but and I'll specify it more in the novella. But basically, they were betrothed, and she was called to go to the Oracle at the Massive, and then on to Periantor, and her brother and Dorian, who's mad that she left him at the altar, basically, go off to bring her home, and end up becoming paladins when they get there. So,
and then eventually they're just the heads of these orders, and like, we used to be betrothed. Wanna,
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Interesting. Okay, so the connection was there before they started, though.
Yes, and just because Dorian became the Prima Pater did not mean she was going to be the Matriarch Superioris, and he became the youngest Prima Pater in history. She doesn't become a Matriarch Superioris until she ranks slowly through, until she's probably 50 or so.
Oh, so they got married pretty late.
They got married right away. Like they get married because paladins and paladines, if they haven't taken any vow of chastity, can get married.
Can paladins that have a vow of chastity still get married?
No, they usually don't.
Usually,
and even those that take vows, they rarely see they don't necessarily even share a same room. They may be on the other sides of the monastery, and it's just we're best friends, and now we're married, and we're on the other side of the monastery. So I'll examine that a lot in the Protectorate Wars, probably because it's a world war. I'll be dealing a lot with what does it look like for context of later books that'll be occurring. It'll be good to show that as juxtaposition.
Yeah.
Is Dane going to be punished for the way he treated Ralia?
So, do you know how in Princess Bride, the little boy says, "Who kills Humperdinck?" And he says, "Nobody kills Humperdinck."
I watched it. Princess Bride.
The point is the bad guys don't always get their comeuppance, and Dane will not be killed.
I'm looking forward to
I'm
Dane's
not asking
redemption
if he'll be killed. I'm just asking if he'll be punished for the way he treated Ralia.
Do you think the Prima Pater's going to spank him or something, Anitha?
The new Prima Pater should punish him. He should be punished.
I think
there's about 2 months between. There's about 2 months between book 2 and 3, and in the interim, he had several vows that he had to take, and he was put on a lot of terrible duty.
Thank you for saying. I know you're saying for my sake, but thank you for saying.
He had to do stable duty and everything.
Yes. No, he no doubt had to. He had to do a pillory. Pillories are not fun.
I mean, it was surprising that I don't know why. I mean, yeah, Dane has a role to play. Grissom said even he told Jeanette to have patience. But even during that fight, when Jeanette took that third vow and he got that third guardian something,
Mm-hmm.
even then he was jealous actually in the middle of the fight. So envy rules him, kind of.
Yes.
So
So you said that your favorite scene was Jinned being jealous that Grissom talked to Valere. Dane
yeah, that was
is a
relatable.
shadow. Dane is a shadow of Jinned. And so he too has jealous. He's jealous that how dare Grissom pick Jinned over me.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
How dare you giving that appropriate answer and shut me up?
I
we have
agree with
all
this.
known a Dane. We've all known a
Dane-
Dane in our lives, and some of them grow up, and some of them never do.
Everybody knows a Dane.
Yes, Queen. Yes.
Very punchable.
Tell you what, when it's ever made into a movie, Quinn, it's going to be hard to cast Dane because it's going to have to be someone really punchable, without being too worm-tonguey.
Okay. See,
True.
the difference between Junaid and Dane being jealous is when Grissom told him or reprimanded him, Junaid understood, tried to accept that, okay, he's not the
Mm-hmm.
special person, he's not the only one
Yeah.
Grissom appeared to. But Dane did not have that, learning curve. He's going to be the same. That's what bothers me so much.
Mm-hmm.
He's not mature in his faith yet.
That's right.
And he's not going
And
to
some
be
people
forever.
are never spoken to,
Even though they want it very much.
even though they want it very,
And then
very
there's
much.
some people that want to be spoken to so bad they get spoken to by the wrong person. They don't realize it.
Right, right. So, and here's the question: if Grissom was to appear to Dane, what would it do?
It will kill Dane, actually.
It might
It
make
would-
him worse.
Mhm.
It might make him worse.
Okay. Actually, in hindsight, I told you when I read that I was very upset with Saraya's arc. Um, but in hindsight, I liked her, I think. See, I understand when she carried that message, she was under the dark god's influence. She might not have realized the effect of what message she's carrying. She gave that to
Mhm.
Nifara. But after giving that message to Nifara, I was little upset that even then she did not realize the effect of what happened. She was asking that old monk, Carl, I have to see
Yeah,
it,
Craig Darn. Yeah,
Cragnan, I don't know,
Craig.
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 Please give some easy names for people like me.
Sorry.
So she did not realize the what happened, what she did. So that old monk had to explain it to her. So I was little upset that as a monk she should know what she did and why Nifara was angry. She shouldn't be like naive. She's the follower of the faith, she should know that.
Yeah.
But in hindsight I understand why you did that way. First of she was in the dark god's influence until that moment, but even then she was in that trauma. Actually, it took her some time to get out of that. I understand now.
Yeah, and part of it is that the Nefaran order is a law school more than anything. They don't have a lot of they don't discuss faith a lot. That's why she had the discussion with Peli and Nos. He said, does your goddess do miracles? And she's, well, actually, I don't know, because their order is very specifically a order of law. So they're doing memorization of law codes. It's just not part of what they discuss. That doesn't mean that upper leadership maybe doesn't discuss it because they have time to sit around a fire and chat about it, but it's not necessarily part of their education. In the same way that you could look at, like, there's a difference between going to a Jesuit college, which is going to study science and law, versus a Benedictine college, which might be more of a theological seminary. So it's like that. And I'm not making that, but as I go, that's true. I promise.
By the way, Pete, billion is Bill. Remember this.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, he was the one that escorted her to the tree, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I do remember thinking, that's a Motian that she's talking to.
But he's so nice.
Look, people that are conniving can be nice.
I know. My editor, after reading book 3, I'm not going to give anything away about book 3 because there's a whole nother faction that shows up. But he ended up reading it and he's like, "You have a problem with authority, don't you?" I'm like, "I don't. My characters do."
Yeah, no, it's really interesting that people tend to put the characters' sentiments on the authors.
Yeah.
Because I think I've done a similar thing specifically with KJ Parker, because especially hearing some of the things and reading some of the stuff that he writes that is very interesting from a theological standpoint. I was like, this guy is, and some of the ways that he writes, like every book that he writes, the government is like incompetent bureaucracy.
Mm-hmm.
And even like the big churches are like incompetent bureaucracies. I'm like, this guy really must not like big institutions or churches or anything. And he's a devout Christian.
Yeah.
And like he's written like a book about what would it be like to be like Jesus's younger brother, basically.
Yeah. Okay.
But from a fantasy standpoint and stuff like that. And it's like, he's like, and he specifically said like, oh, it's because I know this stuff that like.
Right.
I think that was in Zara's interview with him that he was talking about that. That was really interesting.
It's like same with me. It's very important that I am not strawmanning, and so I spend a lot of time researching real world heresies, so that I can create correlatives in my own worlds, and asking myself what book 3 was wildly inspired by the siege of Munich and the Anabaptists. So there's a whole plot with that, but I'm layering a lot of different things to see how do things play out. And you start looking at like the history of the Reformation, and you're like, remember, Reformation was not one thing; it was 5 different factions against 5 other factions, and they all disagree with each other except when they don't. And I was like, I want to play with that, and so I did. Yeah. But having real world correlatives also allows you to ensure that you're not strawmanning. Like when CERN says things, a lot of what he says, he's lying. He's lying through his teeth for the purpose of his own discussion or to convince other people that they should be on his side. It doesn't mean he believes it, but he's still going to say it because that's what people do in real life is convince people of things they don't actually believe themselves to get people to get under their umbrella. And I know KJ Parker's got to be doing the exact same thing. It's like you show a corrupt institution and then show one light inside of that institution, one character who's good.
Well,
or vice. I don't know if he does, but I mean, I do that. No. That's why I have Dane, right?
I do think he still thinks that like their large institutions are probably, considering how off the grid that he lives.
Okay.
But
yeah. But I did the same thing too, in that I have Dane. To show that there's a realness to the order, in the same that when I introduce a whole nother church, you're going to be mad at me that I introduced this bad church, and I will probably stick in some people that you like, and you're going to hate me for it because how can there be good people in this bad stuff?
Are we going to get more of the Abnean church and that whole craziness?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
By the way, that followers of Viutum in that meeting. Super cool scene, actually.
Yes, that was fun to write. That whole scene was fun to write.
Yeah,
I could tell.
when I read Viltum first, I was like, I noted on my exact sentence was, "Who the hell is Viltum?" Then,
Yeah,
no,
Thum just means judge. So it's the full formal name that those who don't mind saying his name will say his full name. In
Mhm.
the same way that like the ancient Greeks would not say the word Hades, or they'd refer to him as Hades Pluton because they don't want to say Hades and invite death, right? And so they'd say Hades Pluton because he's the god of the mountains. I don't want god of death to show up. I need god of mountains to show up. Please give me some gold. And so they would refer to death, but not to his name because they didn't want to summon him. And it's the same sort of superstition that you don't say the word of Wiv, he might show up. But those who don't care have no problem saying it out loud.
Interesting. Very interesting. Um, yes, T. We do need to reread. This is probably something I'll probably reread right before book 4 comes out. Considering I just finished Bone Shroud, I'm not going to reread it before book 3 comes out. That would be a bit much.
March, I hope.
Oh, you're that soon. Wow. Okay.
I'm 50% through the first draft of book 4. I have to finish the first draft, and then I have to go back and revise a ton of it. I'm fairly happy with the first half. Once I finish second half, I will know better how I need to finish off and polish off the first half. I've been telling people winter, and that means I have till March 21st to publish it.
Technicalities.
If things don't happen, because I'm also really, really trying to finish Needle and Leaf by May. I want that out in May. So those are my 2 big releases for next year. If book 4 takes me a little longer to write it, if I can't finish it by the end of next month for the first draft, then it will probably get pushed out to April or May, and then that will push Thrice, or that'll push out the sequel to Fourscored out a little bit too. So because I have to edit it, I have to have beta readers, I have to record it. So I can't write a book and tomorrow release it. I have to have my steps complete.
But why? Why do you have to make us wait so long?
Hey, am I making you wait as long as other authors
No.
who shall not be named?
No, you're not. It's fine.
are you dunking on Sanderson?
I mean, for a hot
Sanderson?
second there,
No.
because I'm thinking about Sanderson specifically here because he keeps pushing out Knights of Winds and Truth, and I really hope he doesn't push it out again.
I don't think it will be at this point. Do you want to know what I think? I think he's already written 4 more secret novels, and I think in March you're going to see another Kickstarter.
Possible, because it's not just money. It looks like he had a lot of fun actually with secret novels.
He did. I don't think
and I'm really hoping that it pays out into book 5. That he's re-inspired himself by writing those, and so we get that we hope we get a Words of Radiance book out of book 5.
Yeah, I do hope that it is very much Words of Radiance level of greatness.
I think that's part of it, and that's why we need to wait.
I am Pete. I'm starting my Stormlight Archive journey next year. So I'm starting doing this because of book 5 release. To be ready for it. So if it gets postponed, I'll be upset.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be upset because I'm, spoilers, planning on going to the convention next year. Me and a friend of mine.
2025. Yeah,
2024. When Knights of when Knights of Winds and Truth comes out, like that convention, like I want to be there.
Those tickets are going to sell in 5 minutes.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm already planning on getting like the hotel before the first one, before 2024 goes.
Yeah, because even if that happens, you can just BarCon at that point.
Yeah,
where you just hang out at the hotel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's going to be a lot, but I have to go back because I'm trying to figure out where he's going to hold it, and I have to go back to some of his weekly announcements and see because he's mentioned projections for next year, and I want to know where it's going to be so I can get a hotel like now.
Yeah,
but I have to talk to some. My brother actually lives up there now. My older brother, so I'm gonna have to talk to him about like, okay, where do you think? Maybe we'll see. It's gonna be fun. I'm excited. Yeah, one of my friends that I got into Stormlight and stuff, or into Sanderson, is going to go with me. So
I'm looking forward to seeing your thoughts on those, Anitha. And I'm fully expecting a text from you after you read book 2 and you say, why isn't Bone Shroud as good as his book 2? That's what your text is going to say. Why couldn't Bone Shroud be Words of Radiance, Andrew? How dare you? How dare you have already given me book 4?
I mean, you'll be surprised. You never know. Maybe I'll say you are a better writer than Sanderson.
I can hope.
that would be high praise.
Yeah.
It's good. Well, we're hitting the 2-hour mark, folks. Anitha, do you have any more questions?
No, I I think I like Bone Shroud more now.
Okay.
It's good. I like Bone Shroud more too, because I don't know the Bone Shroud. I like
Not
getting more
more than
explanations.
Deathless Beast. Not more than
Oh.
Deathless Beast. More than what I felt after reading.
Okay. The world
Thank
felt
you,
like
Pete.
it expanded so much more. Okay.
World wise, what we got about the world and this Chrysala's journey, what we got about Protectorate Wars, what we got about this intrigue of Pantheon of Gods, that was just top, top class. But,
Great.
but, there is a but. There are moments where we are talking still spoilers, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. See that main in entire book, that main scene is where that duel of Chrysalis got attacked or it got killed. Vanguard. What is Vanguard's name?
Peter Gladen. Gladen.
Gladen. Peter Gladen threw that orb actually down.
Yep.
Dorian witnessed it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted that sequence to continue actually after that,
Mm-hmm.
but it got cut there actually. Okay, all these people reached and they went and brought, those chrysalis brought back, and they brought back the matriarch, and they were busy. I understand that, but they let Gladen escape. That was like, oh my god, blowing then. Okay, he escaped. That scene was not, scene to scene transition wasn't smooth there for me. Number one, that. Number two is Dorian conducted an inquest, but that did not come out that Cup was also there to, along with Vanguard, who told them to come to Chris Oracle actually. Who told them that Dorian already left, he asked you to leave. Cup was, because Matriarch did not completely trusted Vanguard when she was told. She asked Cup. Cup told her, yeah, Dorian already left. He confirmed it. The other person, Abbe Foys, some person,
It was
was
a
with,
lie. Yeah.
was with Matriarch actually. She knew that both of them lied. But when the inquest happened, that Abbe Foys told only about Vanguard, only about Gladen. She did not told about Cup. I was actually angry. That should have been there. That was number two. And when Jinned confronted Gladen, that Jinned, along with Paladins, Luik and Kavian, by the way, Luik and Kavian, fantastic in this book. They became my favorite characters in this book.
Excellent. They get
So,
POVs in 5 through 8.
yeah. When they confronted, actually, we can take this now off live. We can close the discussion now. Uh, Pete, do you want to end the stream?
I mean, we can.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Third
think
one.
so. I'll say I'll pile on about the orb scene.
Yeah.
Was it didn't Vanguard's cronies grab the Prima Pater?
Yes.
And
So
then
that-
it kind
that
of goes to
did-
chaos at that point.
Yeah, and that confused me. I felt like him getting away was kind of weird there.
And at that moment is like as Jinnid's showing up as well, and they need to bust their way through, and so it just becomes a free for all.
Mm-hmm.
I understand what you mean. I do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I think let's end this.
You're just gonna leave the people hanging like that, Anitha, about all your
I
questions?
think it's okay. I mean, it's not a question actually. Uh, I think everyone. I don't want to influence everyone's thoughts.
Anitha, you're an influencer. This is what we do.
It's true.
Okay, last point I make. Third point. When Jinnid, Kavian, and Luik, fought Peter Gladen, and other Motian members,
Mm-hmm.
Jinnid theorized Gladen was part of that actually. It that means Dorian did not tell Gladen. I mean, did not tell Jinnid that Gladen threw that orb. Gladen destroyed the duel. That sh- that transition, that entire transition, there was that disconnect is there. Otherwise, it would have been a fantastic book actually. In terms of world building, in terms of character arcs, everything was perfect, except this that scene to scene transition actually.
I'm not answering because I'm accepting your criticism.
I know. Peter's thinking.
Something I've had to learn with beta readers is to just say yes, I understand.
Ask
Rather than
questions.
I don't get defensive.
That's a good. How did you cultivate that, Andrew? I feel like that's something that a lot of people don't know how to cultivate, at least in my experience.
It's part of it's because I'm an ENFP, so I can understand people's point of views from their point of views, even if I disagree with them wildly, and so it can make me look fickle. But I'm actually very stubborn. But also because I've run very big betas, and I've seen people take bad criticism, and I don't want to be that, so I just chose not to. And one of the best things you can possibly do, like if you're in a writer's group, is they say you hand your work in, they read it, and then you sit there silently and let them ream on your work and take it all, and then go, thank you very much for your input, and then go back and work on it on your own, as opposed to and then if you get defensive, then you're actually just alienating your readers who don't want to read for you now.
Yeah.
And so I try to take that tack.
Takes notes.
Yeah.
It's good.
Also,
So excited for book 3 though, Anitha?
Yes, of course.
3 weeks.
Of course.
Fun fact, stubborn people can handle criticism very well because they don't believe they're wrong, even though they realize later. It will take their own process to realize that, not what other person said. So they can handle the criticism very well.
Well, the example of that is me pulling my Hrogran point of view. Is I had him in there, and he was had nothing to do with the plot. He was his own thing. And my wife said, you got to pull him out. I said, no, he's perfect. He has to be in the story. And I came back a week later and said, yeah, you're right, Trisha. I have to pull him out. He's not helping the story at all. And so I said to process it. And yes, T, you were not here at the beginning. So I am just waiting for my art to be done. It's almost done for my novella, which will be coming out before the 30th, because I have to have it out in order to enter it in Baby Bow. So that's coming out. And then I will also be getting my artwork for book 3, which is called Gloves of Eons. And that will be coming out basically as soon as I have the art. I can start uploading files for probably September 16th. So we're at a month, 4 weeks. is kind of the tentative release date. It'll be September 16th.
In book 2, at least in ebook, it was book 3 title was written as Dark Gauntlet.
It's true.
Yeah, I fixed that.
Dang. Now your books are wrong.
They are wrong. Those are
Gosh,
first editions.
Andrew.
What do they matter? No, I think it was Doom Gauntlet, and I just was never quite happy with it. It sounded too 80s. Gloves of Eons totally sounds 80s too, but it just works better. So for me,
But Deathless Beast and Bone Shroud was like 2 words. Now it's
I know.
off. Yeah.
I thought for a long. You want stubborn? Originally the whole series was alphabetical, so that way nobody in a bookstore could mess it up. So it was Deathless Beast, and then instead of Bone Shroud, it was something else. Shroud. I tried to get every word alphabetically, so that no matter what, you couldn't deny that alphabetical put it in the correct order. And I said, "You're trying too hard."
Why?
So now it's Gloves of Eons, and book 4 is called. Everybody does it wrong. If it doesn't say, I mean, mine specifically, just to be real careful, have a 1 and a 2 on the side. Not everybody does that. And you go into a bookstore and you'll have, Pawn of Prophecy after Magician's Gambit. And it's like book 1. So I'll go in there and fix it because I worked in bookstores long enough that I'll start fixing it. And I was like, you're wrong. Or where they had the Bulgaria after the Malorian. It's like B is before M, 1, and 2, Bulgaria comes before Malorian. It's all, so I'll go in there and fix all those. But
that's hilarious. Anyway, I'll be honest. I'm one of the people
Gloves of Eons, and book 4 is called Dread Knight.
Ooh.
2 words.
For now.
No, it's called Dread Knight. Absolutely.
Okay.
But 2 words, because 1 word I have to do a smaller font, and that would make it look weird.
Exciting. Yeah, no, I never thought about that. I kind of just look in the books to see which one's 1, which one's 2, and see if they have just a random 2 on the shelf. I guess you could. I can see how some people that don't really look at those things would pick up things in the wrong order.
Okay.
Well, thank you for coming on, guys. I
you
really
for
appreciate
having
it.
us.
Yeah, this is fun. I'm excited to read the next one much sooner than I anticipated.
It's coming.
I may have just had people. So September 16th is the ebook release. Is the paperback release going to be the same day, or is it going to be later?
Yeah, like if I can get, it takes. Yes, that's the goal.
Okay, cool. Because
the goal.
I don't like reading ebooks.
It takes a little extra time, and I should be able to like if I get the cover art in the next week, or even 2, it'll be a little stretch, but I should be able to get the paperbacks going. But to me, because I have to get 1 version to me to check it, and then I do final fixes on any cover layout, and then I order boxes at that point.
Nice.
Yeah.
And is there a way that you could? Where's the best place to get your books?
You can get them anywhere books are sold, and I always release all 3 versions at the same time. So audiobook will be out of the same day as paperback and ebook. Silverstones carries my books, and they often have I often send them a box of 10 signed copies at release, and after that they're not released, but he does have book plates with my signature on them. And then you can also order them on my website, andrewdmeredith.com. And then I sign them and send them from my house.
Nice.
Yeah. If they aren't at your library, ask your library to carry them.
Cool. I'll try to put those links down below in the description.
Awesome.
Anitha, you want to talk about what they can? I don't know. I'm trying to do things like proper. Where can they find you, Anitha?
My channel name is my name Anitha Gade. So find me for fantasy reviews. What else I can say? That's all.
And then 2 weeks from now, it'll be
Right,
under
anything.
Anitha Gade Reads, right?
It is. I don't know. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Thanks everybody for coming. Thanks everybody for sticking around, commenting, and all that jazz. Have a wonderful night, and make sure to get some rest, because rest is super important. Goodbye.
Bye.